let's talk about damage and injury. So obviously, like, you have your maximum hit points. Creatures are going to be attacking you. You're going to be calculating like what's your armor. So armor pieces. I think you start off. Some armor pieces have 1 or 2 DR. You get more, or if the DM gives you more. I haven't really given anybody armor outside of power armor and a helmet because somebody kept on getting their head attacked. But you calculate that down. If you get, I think it's 5 or more points of damage, like over your DR to a particular area, that automatically counts as a critical. Criticals are a little bit different than D&D 5e. Like if you are a 20, it's like, oh yeah, that's a crit, so I'm going to do double damage. It's like, well, we have that kind of in our style of game, but critical hits in the Fallout 2d20 aspect are parts of your body that may be hurt. So I think somebody got a critical recently, and I think it was their leg or arm or something, that it was just like they.
If this coming out after the most recent session we recorded?
This is out. Yeah, this will be out in the most recent session.
Hazel got both her arms crippled.
Yeah. And so like that's like something that you'll have to deal with. Like there's its own kind of complications. And so if you have arms and they're critically hit, you drop any object that's held in your hand, their arm is broken, otherwise unable to move. You cannot perform any actions using that arm by itself or alongside your other arm. So like, look, ma, no hands. There's not like, there is like a cost for the vulnerability of yourself. Dying. We've actually had a character almost die. I don't know what I would have done if the character died. I was going to allow him to die if that was the case. I didn't have any. I was like, if Pep dies, then I guess he's just dead. When you reach 0 AP, you make an endurance plus survival test on your next turn. That's AP.
You did say HP. But that'd be a completely different game.
That would be just every time anyone.
I have no more motivation. I've lost the will to live.
Lost the will. You make a endurance plus survival test with the difficulty at the number of injuries you have. If you pass the test, you remain alive. So this isn't like D&D where there's you have like I think 3 tries to get that.
Yeah, you've got 3. Yeah, it's a race to 3. Yeah. So you make death saves, and if you get 3 successes before 3 failures, then you live.
You just keep on rolling in this one. Like you keep on endurance plus survival until you fail one. And so like I don't think people understand the amount of failure that can happen even with a like Pep could have rolled he rolled, I think, a save on there, or maybe he may have rolled a save. He may have not.
I don't recall. It's been a hot minute.
It's been a while. It's been several months. But like he could have rolled a fail, and that character is dead. And there's no like nobody was stabilizing him because everyone was dealing with a feral ghoul horde that he decided to run into the middle of. So I think that's
stupid games. You win stupid prizes.
That's Pep. That's Pep in a nutshell. But yeah, that's dying in itself. Speaking of not dying, healing. So there's 2 types of healing. There's Take Kim and First Aid. Take Kim is like stim packs, Radaway, that kind of stuff. First Aid, Hazel does this a lot. Intelligence plus medicine. That can stabilize a dying patient, heal health points equal to your medicine rating, or treat one injury the patient is suffering from. Hazel has done that a bunch. Hazel has tried to put limbs back onto Clark, and Clark has his regrowing ability. You can kind of go through how all that works. So stabilizing the dying, all that stuff on page 34 of the book. Let's talk about rest for a minute. Every time that the party rests, I make them roll an endurance plus survival test, which essentially counts for their well rested. So if they pass, I think it's a difficulty 1. I generally give it. I give them a difficulty 1 for the most part because I don't do injury recovery difficulty. To be like, oh, it's a difficulty 4. How hard is it to rest? So from like a dice roll perspective, I just do difficulty 1. If they get that, then they get an extra 2 HP moving forward. Anything else in healing, dying, death before we talk about armor and weapons here?
Nothing I can think of. I think the biggest way we've recovered health is just by sleeping, because it's just it's the long rest, and it just resets everything, and that seems to work the best for us. Stim packs have been few and far between, and they are a expensive option, truth be told.
And
I mean, for a party that didn't get caps until level 5, that's the options were sort of limited, so natural rest was our best bet.
And I think it's also like when you're dealing with a lot of items from like an actual play on a podcast like standpoint, I think you can get pretty bogged down based on what people have, what people are doing. I think that once you start with the multitude of things, it's hard to keep up with that stuff. So like like having 3 stim packs is gonna be like a good thing. Like if you have 3 stim packs, then you're like, oh, you're dying over there. Here, let me just stim pack you. Great. You're
Yeah.
It's like a Phoenix down. You're immediately good to go, you know?